February 14th, 1945, 10:27 a.m. Corregidor Island, Philippines. The Japanese shell hits USS Fletcher like a sledgehammer. 6 inches of steel punches through the forward hull. Magazine number 1 erupts in flame. Petty Officer Elmer Bigelow is in the engine room when the ship lurches. The intercom crackles. Fire in Magazine 1, all hands to damage control. He knows what that means. 40 tons of powder charges, 125-inch shells. If the fire reaches them, the ship dies. Everyone dies. Bigelow runs toward the forward hatch. The air smells like burning metal. Black smoke pours from the magazine access. Men are running the opposite direction. Lieutenant Morrison grabs his shoulder. "Bigelow, we need to flood the magazine. The system's not responding." "I'll check the pipes," Bigelow says. He grabs 2 fire extinguishers from the bulkhead. Morrison points at the breathing apparatus on the wall. "Put that on first." Bigelow looks at the apparatus, then at the smoke, then back at Morrison. He shakes his head. "No time, sir." Morrison opens his mouth to argue. Bigelow is already gone. Elmer Charles Bigelow grew up in Hebron, Illinois, population 800. He worked on his father's farm before the war. Corn and soybeans, nothing special. He enlisted in the Navy in 1942. They made him a water tender. Boilers, pumps, freshwater systems, the unglamorous backbone of every ship. Fletcher got him in 1943. By 1945, he knew every pipe and valve on that destroyer, better than the blueprints. The crew called him Big, not because he was tall, because he could fix anything water-related in minutes. On February 14th, 1945, that knowledge became the difference between life and death. Magazine number 1 sits 20 feet below the main deck. The only access is a vertical ladder through a narrow hatch. Bigelow reaches the hatch at 10:28. Smoke billows out like a volcano. The heat slaps his face. He takes one breath of clean air. Then he climbs down. The ladder rungs burn through his gloves. He keeps climbing. The extinguishers bang against his legs. 10 feet down, 15 feet, 20. His boots hit the deck. He can't see anything. The smoke is solid black. Temperature is 400 degrees Fahrenheit. He drops to his knees. Air is slightly better near the floor. He crawls forward. The extinguishers drag behind him. Somewhere ahead, powder charges are cooking off. Small pops, like firecrackers. Each pop means a charge is burning. When enough charges burn together, the magazine detonates. Bigelow has maybe 90 seconds. On the bridge, Captain Cole watches the forward deck. Smoke pours from 3 hatches. Japanese shore batteries are still firing. Another shell screams overhead and splashes 50 yards to port. "Status on Magazine 1? Cole asks. The damage control officer listens to his headset. "Bigelow went down alone, sir. No breathing gear. He's not responding to calls." Cole's jaw tightens. "Did he take extinguishers?" "2, sir." "2." Cole looks at the smoke. "Against 40 tons of powder." Nobody on the bridge says anything. A massive explosion would break Fletcher's back. The bow would sink in minutes. They're 400 yards from shore. Japanese machine guns cover the water. Even if the crew abandons ship, most won't make it. Cole picks up the intercom. "All hands brace for magazine detonation. Prepare to abandon ship." Below deck, Bigelow finds the fire. It's not one fire. It's a wall of flame across the entire magazine. The powder charges are stacked in metal racks. 3 racks are fully engulfed. He raises the first extinguisher, pulls the trigger. Foam sprays into the flames. The fire doesn't care. It keeps burning. Bigelow empties the entire extinguisher in 20 seconds. The flames shrink slightly. Then, roar back. He drops the empty canister, grabs the second one. This is the last extinguisher. If it fails, he dies here. The ship dies here. His hands are shaking, not from fear, from heat. His skin is starting to blister inside his gloves. He aims at the base of the flames, pulls the trigger. On the main deck, Seaman First Class Danny Kowalski is manning a 40mm gun. He hears the pops from Magazine 1. Everyone hears them. "How long we got?" asks the loader. Kowalski doesn't answer. He knows the sound of cooking powder. He heard it once before on another ship. That ship didn't survive. The pops are getting faster, louder. Then they stop. Complete silence from the magazine. "Did it blow?" the loader whispers. Kowalski stares at the forward hatch. Smoke is still pouring out, but it's grey now, not black. Grey means less fuel, less heat. "I think someone put it out," Kowalski says. Nobody believes him. Bigelow empties the second extinguisher. The flames die. Smoke fills the space where fire used to be. He collapses onto his knees. The extinguisher clatters to the deck. His lungs are on fire. Every breath feels like swallowing glass. He tries to stand. His legs don't work. He starts crawling toward the ladder. 5 feet, 10 feet. The ladder is somewhere ahead. He can't see it. His vision tunnels. Grey smoke turns to black edges. He stops, crawling. Damage control team. 3 reaches the magazine hatch at 10:31. 4 minutes since the shell hit. Petty Officer Martin looks into the smoke. "Bigelow, you down there?" No response. Martin grabs a breathing mask. "I'm going in." He climbs down the ladder. The smoke is thick, but no longer scalding. He drops to the floor and crawls forward. His hand hits something soft. A boot. "I got him," Martin yells. 2 more sailors descend. They drag Bigelow to the ladder. His skin is red and black. His gloves have melted to his hands. He's not breathing. They haul him up to the main deck. The ship's medic starts chest compressions. Bigelow gasps once. His eyes open for 2 seconds, then close again. The medic checks his pulse. He's alive. Barely. Lieutenant Morrison kneels next to Bigelow. "Did he put it out?" Martin nods. "Magazine's clear, sir. No active fires. He saved the ship." Morrison looks at Bigelow's burned hands, at his chest, rising and falling in shallow gasps. "Get him to sickbay," Morrison says quietly. "Now." At 10:35, Captain Cole receives the report. Magazine 1 is secure. No explosion risk. Fletcher turns hard to port. Her guns open fire on the Japanese shore batteries. The battle continues. Below deck, Bigelow is unconscious in the sickbay. The medic wraps his hands in gauze. 3rd-degree burns. Cover 60% of his body. The prognosis is 0. But USS Fletcher is alive. 400 men are alive, because 1 water tender from Illinois grabbed 2 extinguishers and refused to wait for safety gear. 90 seconds decided everything. USS Fletcher, commissioned on June 30th, 1942. Hull number DD-445, first of her class. The Fletcher-class destroyers changed the Pacific War. Fast, deadly, adaptable. The Navy built 175 of them, but DD-445 was special. By February 1945, Fletcher had earned 58 battle stars, more than any other destroyer in the fleet. Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Philippine Sea, Leyte Gulf, Iwo Jima. She'd survived 3 years of combat without losing a single man to enemy action. Until today. February 14th, started like every other day in the Philippines campaign. Fletcher departed Subic Bay at 0600 hours. Mission: shore bombardment support for the Corregidor assault. Corregidor, the Rock, last American stronghold to fall in 1942. MacArthur swore he'd take it back. The Japanese fortified it for 3 years. Caves, tunnels, heavy coastal guns. They turned the island into a fortress. Fletcher's job was simple: destroy the guns before the paratroopers dropped. At 0830, Fletcher reached firing position, 4,000 yards offshore, close enough to see the cliffs. Her 5-inch guns opened fire, 20 rounds per minute. The island disappeared behind smoke and dust. Japanese batteries didn't respond at first. Fletcher's crew thought maybe the bombing had knocked them out. They were wrong. At 10:15 hours, the Japanese guns opened up. 6-inch coastal artillery, hidden in cave mouths, targeting Fletcher and 3 other destroyers. The first salvo bracketed Fletcher, 1 shell short, 1 long. The Japanese were finding their range. Captain Robert Cole ordered evasive maneuvers. Fletcher zigged hard to starboard. Speed increased to 28 knots. The second salvo missed by 30 yards. Spray drenched the forward deck. Cole grabbed the intercom. "All guns, target the cave positions. Fire for effect." Fletcher's 5-inch turrets swiveled toward the cliffs. They fired in rapid sequence. Boom, 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 boom. Shells slammed into the rock face. Dust and debris cascaded down. But the Japanese guns kept firing. The third salvo came at 10:27 hours. 3 shells, 2 missed, 1 didn't. The shell hit Fletcher's bow just above the waterline. It punched through half an inch of steel like paper, detonated inside the forward storage area. The explosion ripped through 2 compartments. Electrical systems sparked and died. Sprinkler pipes burst, and magazine number 1 caught fire. Magazine number 1 stored ammunition for turrets 1 and 2. 40 tons of powder charges, 125-inch shells. Each shell weighed 55 pounds. The powder charges were the real danger. 40 tons of nitrocellulose in silk bags, burns at 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, explodes under pressure or sustained heat. If the magazine detonated, it would release energy equivalent to 30 tons of TNT. The entire bow section would disintegrate. Everything forward of the bridge would vanish in milliseconds. The crew knew the risks. Every sailor in the Pacific knew what happened when magazines blew. HMS Hood sunk in 3 minutes when a German shell hit her magazine. 1,415 dead, 3 survivors. USS Arizona, magazine detonation at Pearl Harbor. The ship broke in half, 1,177 dead. Magazine explosions didn't leave time to abandon ship. You either stopped the fire or everyone died. In Damage Control Central, Lieutenant Morrison received the first report at 10:27. Fire in Magazine 1, automatic suppression system offline. Morrison's stomach dropped. The suppression system pumped seawater directly into the magazine. It could flood the entire space in 90 seconds, but the Japanese shell had severed the main water line. "Manual flooding?" Morrison asked. "Negative, sir. Pumps are down. We need to route water through the auxiliary system." Morrison grabbed the damage control schematic. The auxiliary system was a maze of pipes and valves. Rerouting water would take time they didn't have. He needed someone who knew the system perfectly, someone who could work blind in smoke and heat. He keyed the intercom. "Get me Bigelow." Elmer Bigelow knew Fletcher's water systems like his own hands. He'd spent 2 years maintaining them. Pumps, valves, pressure regulators, emergency bypasses. The blueprints showed 47 valves in the auxiliary system. Bigelow had memorized all 47 positions. When Morrison's call came through, Bigelow was in the engine room. He heard the explosion, felt the ship shudder. He ran toward the forward section without waiting for orders. The passageways were filling with smoke. Men pushed past him, going the opposite direction. Nobody ran toward a magazine fire. Bigelow kept running. He reached the forward hatch at 1028. Black smoke poured out. Heat radiated from the opening like a furnace. Lieutenant Morrison arrived seconds later. "Bigelow, we need water to that magazine. Can you reroute the auxiliary line?" Bigelow looked into the smoke. The auxiliary valve controls were 20 feet below deck, right next to the magazine. "I can do it, sir," Bigelow said, "but the fire's already started. Routing water will take 3 minutes. Morrison's face went pale. "We don't have 3 minutes." Bigelow grabbed 2 fire extinguishers from the bulkhead. "Then I put it out first." Morrison pointed at the breathing apparatus. "You'll need that." Bigelow shook his head. "It'll slow me down. The fire won't wait." "Bigelow, that's an order. Put on the—" But Bigelow was already descending into the smoke. On the bridge, Captain Cole watched the forward deck. Smoke poured from 3 different hatches. The intercom crackled with damage reports. "Magazine 1 fire confirmed. Bigelow attempting suppression." "How many men?" Cole asked. "Just Bigelow, sir. He went alone." Cole's XO stepped closer. "Sir, we should prepare to abandon ship." Cole didn't respond. He stared at the smoke. 40 tons of powder. 400 men, 1 sailor with 2 extinguishers. The Japanese batteries fired again. A shell splashed 40 yards to port. "Continue evasive maneuvers," Cole ordered. "All guns. Keep firing. We're not abandoning anything yet." Below deck, the damage control team assembled at the forward hatch. 6 men in full firefighting gear. They waited for orders to descend. Petty Officer Martin listened on the sound-powered phone. No word from Bigelow. No updates from the magazine. Just smoke, and the occasional pop of powder charges cooking off. Martin counted the pops. They were getting closer together. Faster. "He's out of time," Martin said quietly. Nobody argued. At 1029, the pop stopped. Complete silence. Then the smoke changed color. Black to gray. Martin stared. "Did he?" "He did it," someone whispered. Martin grabbed his mask. "I'm going in. We need to pull him out." He started down the ladder before anyone could stop him. Fletcher survived. February 14th, 1945. The magazine didn't explode. The ship kept fighting. At 11:10, Fletcher rescued 23 survivors from USS Harrison. Harrison took a direct hit from the same Japanese battery. Her crew abandoned ship. Fletcher pulled alongside and took them aboard. All 23 survived. At 14:30, the Japanese guns finally went silent. American paratroopers secured the island. Fletcher returned to Subic Bay that evening. Battle damage: 1 shell hit, minor flooding, electrical damage. Casualties: 1. Water tender, 2nd class, Elmer Charles Bigelow, died at 1400 hours on February 15th. Burns and smoke inhalation. He never regained consciousness after the rescue. The ladder goes straight down. 20 feet. No light at the bottom. Bigelow's boots hit metal at 1028. He crouches immediately. The heat presses down like a weight. He can't see anything. Smoke fills every inch of space. Thick, black, choking. He drops to his knees, crawls forward, drags the extinguishers behind him. The deck is hot enough to burn through his uniform. He keeps crawling. Magazine number 1 is 30 feet long, 20 feet wide. Powder charges line both walls in metal racks. Bigelow knows the layout by memory. 6 racks total. Each rack holds 20 charges. He crawls 10 feet. His hand hits something. A rack. The metal is scorching hot. He feels along the base. The charges are still there. Intact. Good. This rack hasn't caught yet. He crawls deeper. The smoke thickens. His lungs scream for air. Every breath he pulls in heat and chemicals. His eyes water. Tears evaporate instantly. He blinks and keeps moving. Somewhere ahead, powder is burning. On the sound-powered phone, Morrison tries to reach Bigelow. Bigelow, report status. Static. Bigelow, do you copy? Nothing. Morrison looks at the damage control team. He's not responding. Should we send someone after him? A sailor asks. Morrison shakes his head. Not yet. We'd just get in his way or die trying. They wait. Below, another powder charge cooks off. Pop. Then another. Pop, pop. The pops are rhythmic now, like a clock ticking down. Bigelow reaches the fire at 1028 and 40 seconds. It's not a fire. It's a wall of flame. 3 racks are fully engulfed. Orange and white flames climb to the ceiling. The heat is unbearable. Bigelow raises the first extinguisher, aims at the base of the flames, pulls the trigger. Foam sprays out. White chemical foam designed for oil fires. It hits the flames and sizzles. The fire shrinks. For 2 seconds. Then it roars back, bigger than before. Bigelow empties the canister. 20 seconds of continuous spray. His arms ache from holding the extinguisher steady. The flames drop to half height. Smoke clears slightly. He releases the trigger. The canister hisses empty. The flames surge back. They reclaim lost ground in seconds. Bigelow drops the empty extinguisher. It clangs on the deck. He grabs the second one. This is the last extinguisher, the only one left. If it fails, the magazine explodes. 40 tons of powder. The bow disintegrates. 400 men die, including him. Bigelow's hands shake, not from fear, from pain. His gloves are melting. The rubber fuses to his skin. He smells burning flesh. His flesh. He aims the extinguisher. His vision tunnels. Black spots dance at the edges. He's running out of air. His lungs are damaged. Every breath feels like inhaling fire. He has maybe 30 seconds before he passes out. The fire has maybe 60 seconds before it reaches critical mass. Bigelow pulls the trigger. The second extinguisher sprays foam. Bigelow aims low. At the base of the flames where the powder racks sit, cut off the fuel. Kill the fire at the source. The foam floods the deck. It pools around the racks, climbs up the metal supports. The flames resist. They burn hotter. White hot now. The powder inside the charges is igniting layer by layer. Bigelow keeps spraying. His arms tremble. The extinguisher weighs 30 pounds. Feels like 300. 15 seconds. The flames drop to waist height. 20 seconds. Chest height. 25 seconds. Knee height. 30 seconds. The extinguisher sputters. The foam stops. Bigelow releases the trigger. The magazine is silent. Smoke hangs in the air. Thick grey clouds, but no flames. The fire is out. Bigelow drops the extinguisher. It hits the deck with a metallic thud. He collapses forward. His hands hit the foam-covered floor. Pain explodes up his arms. His gloves are gone, melted completely. The skin underneath is red and black, blistered, charred in places. He tries to stand. His legs don't respond. He crawls toward the ladder. 5 feet, 10 feet. His vision narrows. The edges go black, then the center. He stops crawling. His cheek hits the deck. The metal is cool now, almost comfortable. He closes his eyes. On the main deck, Petty Officer Martin hears the change. The pops stop. The roar of flames fades. He looks at Morrison. Something's different. Morrison listens. The fire stopped. Or it exploded, someone mutters. No, Martin says. If it exploded, we'd be dead. The fire's out. Morrison grabs his mask. Get down there, find Bigelow. Martin descends the ladder. 3 other sailors follow. They move fast. At the bottom, Martin drops to his knees, pulls out a flashlight, shines it into the smoke. The beam cuts through the grey haze, reveals foam-covered decks, scorched racks, no flames. He crawls forward, sweeps the flashlight left and right. The beam hits a boot. Found him! Martin yells. Bigelow is face down in the foam, not moving. Martin grabs his shoulder, rolls him over. Bigelow's face is grey, lips are blue. Martin checks for a pulse. Faint. Barely there. He's alive! Get him up! 2 sailors grab Bigelow's arms. They scream and let go. His skin slides off. The burns are that deep. They grab his uniform instead, drag him toward the ladder. Martin leads the way. Medic! We need a medic now! They haul Bigelow up the ladder. His head lolls back, arms hang limp. At the top, 4 sailors lift him onto the deck. The ship's medic rushes over. He takes one look at Bigelow's hands and goes pale. Get him to sickbay. Now! Sickbay is 8 beds in a compartment below the bridge, designed for minor injuries, cuts, burns, broken bones. Not this. The medic lays Bigelow on a bed, starts cutting away his uniform. The fabric is fused to his skin in places. 3rd-degree burns cover both hands, both forearms, his chest, his face, 60% of his body. The medic checks his breathing, shallow and irregular. Lungs are damaged, probably scarred from superheated air. He injects morphine, wraps the burns in gauze, starts an IV. Lieutenant Morrison stands in the doorway. Will he make it? The medic doesn't look up. No, sir. Burns this severe. He needs a hospital. Real doctors. We don't have the equipment. How long does he have? Hours. Maybe a day if he's strong. Morrison looks at Bigelow's wrapped hands, at his chest rising and falling in tiny gasps. He saved the ship, Morrison says quietly. I know, sir. 400 men. I know. Morrison turns and walks out. At 10:35, Captain Cole receives the report. Magazine 1 is secure. Fire extinguished. No risk of detonation. He keys the intercom. All hands. This is the captain. The fire is out. Resume battle stations. The crew cheers. Guns swivel back toward the shore. Fletcher's engines roar. The ship turns toward the Japanese batteries. Her 5-inch guns open fire. Boom, boom, boom. The battle continues. Below deck, Bigelow lies unconscious. Morphine keeps him under. The medic checks his vitals every 10 minutes. Pulse, weak, breathing, shallow. Temperature, 104 degrees. The medic knows how this ends. He's seen burns like this before. Nobody survives 60% 3rd-degree burns. Not on a destroyer in the middle of a combat zone. He sits next to the bed, waits. At 11:10, Fletcher pulls alongside USS Harrison. Harrison is sinking. Her crew abandoned ship 10 minutes ago. Fletcher's crew throws lines, pulls 23 survivors from the water. Harrison's captain climbs aboard last. He's covered in oil and blood. "Who got us?" he asks. "Same battery that hit us," Cole says. "We're still fighting them." Harrison's captain looks at Fletcher's scorched bow. "You took a hit?" "Magazine fire. One of my men put it out." "He make it?" Cole shakes his head. "Not likely." Harrison's captain is silent. Then, "What's his name?" "Bigelow. Elmer Bigelow." "I'll remember that." The battle ends at 14:30. The Japanese guns go silent. American paratroopers secure the island. Fletcher returns to Subic Bay at 1800, docks for repairs. In sick bay, Bigelow is still unconscious. His breathing is weaker, pulse barely detectable. The medic hasn't left his side in 8 hours. At 2100, Bigelow's eyes open. Just for a moment, he looks at the ceiling, tries to speak. No sound comes out. The medic leans close. "Don't talk. You're safe. The ship's safe." Bigelow's lips move. The medic reads them. "Good." Then his eyes close. He doesn't open them again. February 15th, 1945. 0600 hours. USS Fletcher is docked at Subic Bay. Repair crews swarm the forward deck, welders, electricians, damage control specialists. The shell hole gets patched first, steel plates bolted over the torn hull. Temporary fix. Good enough for now. Inside, electricians rewire the damaged circuits. The sprinkler system gets restored. Magazine 1 gets inspected. The powder racks are scorched black. The foam dried into a crusty residue. But the charges are intact. No detonation. No catastrophic damage. One man, with 2 extinguishers, saved the entire forward section. That man is dying 50 feet away. In sick bay, Bigelow hasn't moved since last night. His breathing is worse. Shallow gasps every few seconds. The medic changes his bandages at 0630. The burns look worse in daylight. Skin is blackened, blistered. Some areas are white. That's 3rd degree. Nerve damage. Bigelow doesn't feel it. He's too far gone. His temperature is 105 degrees. Infection is spreading. His body is shutting down. The medic administers more morphine. Keeps him comfortable. That's all he can do. Lieutenant Morrison visits at 0700. Stands in the doorway. Doesn't say anything. What can you say to a dying man who can't hear you? Morrison leaves after 2 minutes. At 0800, Captain Cole addresses the crew on the main deck. Yesterday, USS Fletcher took a direct hit. Magazine 1 caught fire. If that magazine had exploded, none of us would be standing here. The crew is silent. Everyone knows. Petty Officer Bigelow went into that fire alone. No breathing gear, no backup, 2 extinguishers. That's all he had. Cole pauses. His voice is steady but tight. He put out the fire, saved this ship, saved every man aboard. He's in sickbay now. He's not expected to survive. Nobody moves. The only sound is wind and waves. When Bigelow dies, he dies a hero. The Navy will recognize that. So will I. Dismissed. The crew disperses. Nobody speaks. Down in sickbay, Bigelow's pulse weakens. Fletcher stays in port for 36 hours. Repairs continue around the clock. By 1800 on February 15th, the ship is combat ready. Cole receives new orders. Rejoin the fleet off Iwo Jima. The invasion started 4 days ago. Marines are dying on the beaches. They need fire support. Fletcher's mission isn't finished. At 1900, the crew prepares to depart. Engineers fire up the boilers. Deck crews secure the lines. In sickbay, the medic checks Bigelow one last time. Pulse is barely detectable. Breathing is irregular. He won't survive the night. The medic sits next to the bed, waits. At 1400 hours on February 15th, Elmer Bigelow stops breathing. The medic checks for a pulse. Nothing. He records the time of death in the log, 1400, 15th of February, 1945. Cause of death, thermal burns and smoke inhalation. Age, 24 years. The medic covers Bigelow's body with a sheet, closes the logbook. Lieutenant Morrison is notified immediately. He informs Captain Cole. Cole closes his eyes, takes a breath, opens them again. "Prepare the body for burial at sea," Cole says. "Tomorrow morning, full honors. February 16th, 1945, 0800 hours. Fletcher is underway, steaming toward Iwo Jima. The sea is calm, sky is grey. The crew assembles on the main deck. Dress uniforms, white caps. Everyone not on watch is present. Bigelow's body is wrapped in canvas, covered with an American flag, placed on a plank at the ship's rail. Captain Cole stands at the front, opens a small book, the Navy Burial Manual. "We are gathered to commit the body of Petty Officer Second Class Elmer Charles Bigelow to the sea." The crew removes their caps. Bigelow served with honor and courage. He gave his life to save this ship and every man aboard. Greater love has no man than this. Cole closes the book, nods to the honor guard. 4 sailors lift the plank, tilt it toward the ocean. Bigelow's body slides into the water. The flag is pulled away at the last second. He disappears beneath the surface. The sea closes over him. Gone. Fletcher continues to Iwo Jima, arrives on February 18th, joins the bombardment group off the eastern beaches. The battle is brutal. Japanese defenders fight from caves and tunnels. Every yard costs American lives. Fletcher's guns fire day and night, thousands of shells, supporting Marine advances, suppressing enemy positions. On February 23rd, Marines raise the flag on Mount Suribachi. Fletcher's crew watches from offshore. 6 men raising a flag, a moment that defines the war. Bigelow never saw it. He died 8 days earlier. Fletcher survives Iwo Jima, survives Okinawa, survives the kamikaze attacks. The war ends on August 15th, 1945. Fletcher is still fighting. She returns to the United States in October. Heroes welcome. Parades in San Francisco. The crew gets medals, battle citations, commendations. Fletcher gets 58 battle stars, more than any destroyer in the Pacific Fleet. Bigelow gets a Medal of Honor. June 8th, 1945. The White House, Washington, D.C. President Harry Truman presents the Medal of Honor to Bigelow's mother, Clara. She's a small woman. Gray hair, black dress, tears on her cheeks. Truman pins the medal to a display box, hands it to her. "Your son saved 400 men," Truman says. "He gave everything. The nation honors his sacrifice." Clara Bigelow nods, can't speak. She clutches the medal, holds it to her chest. Her boy is dead. A piece of metal won't bring him back. But it's all she has left. The citation reads, "For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty." When fire broke out in a forward magazine following enemy shell hit, Petty Officer Bigelow entered the fire without protective breathing apparatus. Armed with 2 extinguishers, he fought the blaze until it was extinguished. His actions prevented catastrophic magazine explosion and saved his ship and shipmates. He died the following day from burns and smoke inhalation. His courage and self-sacrifice reflect the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. USS Fletcher is decommissioned in 1946. reactivated for Korea in 1951. Serves until 1969. Scrapped in 1972, but the name lives on. USS Bigelow, DD-942, commissioned in 1957. Named for Elmer Charles Bigelow, a Fletcher-class destroyer. Just like DD-445. Bigelow serves until 1991. Cold War patrols, Mediterranean deployments, Gulf of Sidra operations. She never fires a shot in anger, never loses a man. A fitting tribute. Elmer Bigelow is buried in Hebron Cemetery, Hebron, Illinois. Small town. Population 800. Same as when he left. His grave is in the back corner. Simple headstone. No frills. Elmer Charles Bigelow, 1920 to 1945. Medal of Honor. Greater love has no man than this. Every Memorial Day, the town holds a ceremony. Veterans, families, school children. They remember the farm boy who saved 400 lives, who grabbed 2 extinguishers and ran into hell, who refused to wait for safety gear because there wasn't time, who died so his shipmates could live. Fletcher fought for 3 more years after Bigelow died. 58 battle stars, thousands of shells fired, hundreds of missions. But the ship's most important moment lasted 90 seconds. February 14th, 1945. Magazine number 1, fire and smoke, and 40 tons of powder. 1 man, 2 extinguishers. That's all it took. June 8th, 1945. 1,000 hours. The White House. Clara Bigelow sits in the Oval Office. Her hands shake. She's never been to Washington before. President Truman enters. She stands. He motions for her to sit. Mrs. Bigelow, your son was a hero. The nation owes him everything. Clara nods. Doesn't trust herself to speak. Truman opens a wooden box. Inside is the Medal of Honor. Blue ribbon. Gold star. 5 points. He lifts it carefully. Pins it to the display cushion. Elmer saved 400 men. He knew the cost. He paid it anyway. Truman hands her the box. Clara takes it, stares at the medal. Gold and blue. Pretty colors. Her son is dead. This won't change that. But she holds it tight anyway. The citation is read aloud by a Navy officer. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty while serving aboard USS Fletcher during action against enemy Japanese forces off Corregidor, Philippine Islands, February 14th, 1945. The officer's voice is steady, formal. When a Japanese shell struck the ship and ignited a fire in the forward powder magazine, Petty Officer Bigelow, with utter disregard for his own safety, rushed to the scene without awaiting orders. Clara closes her eyes, sees Elmer as a boy, 10 years old, running through cornfields, laughing. Refusing to don protective breathing apparatus to save time, he plunged into the magazine, armed with 2 fire extinguishers. She sees him at 17, graduating high school. Proud smile, his whole life ahead. Through his courageous action and valiant devotion to duty, he prevented a catastrophic explosion that would have destroyed the ship and killed his shipmates. She sees the telegram. February 17th, 1945. We regret to inform you. Petty Officer Bigelow died the following day from burns and smoke inhalation. His extraordinary heroism and self-sacrifice were in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. Clara opens her eyes. The officer is finished. Everyone is looking at her. She stands, clutches the medal box, walks out. No parade, no ceremony, just a mother and a medal. Back in Hebron, Illinois, the town holds a memorial service. Everyone attends, population 800. Every single person knew Elmer. Mayor stands at the front, reads from a prepared statement. Elmer Bigelow grew up here, worked on his father's farm, played baseball in the town league. He was one of us. Pause. He died, saving 400 men. Men he'd never met. Men who went home to their families because Elmer didn't. The crowd is silent. We're proud and we're heartbroken. Elmer's father, Charles, sits in the front row. He hasn't cried yet, hasn't said much since the telegram came. He stares at his hands, farmer's hands, rough and scarred. Elmer had the same hands, before the Navy, before the fire. Charles closes his eyes. July 1945, USS Fletcher returns to the United States. San Francisco Harbor, crowds line the docks. The crew disembarks. Sailors hug their families, wives, parents, children. 400 men come home alive, because one man didn't. Lieutenant Morrison walks down the gangplank. His wife and 2 daughters are waiting. He picks up the youngest, holds her tight. She asks, "Did you win, Daddy?" Morrison looks back at the ship, thinks about magazine number 1, about smoke and fire and a farm boy from Illinois. "Yeah, sweetheart, we won." The Navy doesn't forget. October 1957, USS Bigelow is commissioned, hull number DD-942, Fletcher-class destroyer, named for Elmer Charles Bigelow. Medal of Honor recipient. Clara Bigelow attends the ceremony. She's 72 years old now. Gray hair, slow steps. She breaks the champagne bottle on the bow. The ship slides into the water. "I christen thee Bigelow," she says, voice barely audible. The crowd cheers. The band plays. Flags wave. Clara watches the ship float. Massive, gray, powerful. Her son's name, painted on the side in white letters, USS Bigelow, DD-942. He'll never be forgotten now. USS Bigelow serves for 34 years, Cold War patrols, Mediterranean tours, Gulf of Sidra operations. She never loses a man in combat, never takes a hit, never fires her guns in anger. In 1986, she escorts convoys through the Persian Gulf. In 1988, she monitors Soviet submarines in the Atlantic. In 1991, she's decommissioned, sold for scrap in 1998. But the name lives on. Every sailor who served on Bigelow learned the story. The farm boy, the fire, the 2 extinguishers, they carried that story with them, told their kids, their grandkids, heroes don't die. Not really. USS Fletcher is decommissioned in 1946, reactivated in 1951 for Korea, serves until 1969. Total service, 27 years, more than any destroyer of her class. She earns 58 battle stars. No other destroyer comes close. Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Philippine Sea, Leyte Gulf, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, Korea, thousands of shells fired, hundreds of missions, tens of thousands of miles steamed. But her most important moment lasted 90 seconds. February 14th, 1945. One man, one fire, one choice. Fletcher survives because Elmer Bigelow chose not to. Fletcher is scrapped in 1972, cut apart for metal, melted down, recycled. Nothing physical remains. But the name is preserved. The story is told. The crew is remembered. In 2006, the USS Fletcher Association holds its final reunion. 10 surviving crew members attend, all in their 80s. They gather in San Diego, share stories, look at old photos. One photo shows the crew on deck, February 1945, days before Corregidor. Bigelow is in the back row. Small guy, barely visible, slight smile. Nobody knew he'd be dead in 2 weeks. Nobody knew he'd saved them all. The veterans pass the photo around. Nobody says much. What can you say? One of them finally speaks. He was 24? Just a kid. Another nods. He gave us everything. They're quiet for a long time. Elmer Bigelow is buried in Hebron Cemetery, back corner, under an oak tree. The headstone is simple. Elmer Charles Bigelow, 1920 to 1945. Medal of Honor. Greater love has no man than this. Every Memorial Day, the town holds a ceremony. Veterans march, flags wave, a bugler plays taps. Someone always places flowers on Bigelow's grave. The town remembers. In 2010, a historian researches Medal of Honor recipients, comes across Bigelow's story. He tracks down Morrison's family. Morrison died in 1998, but his daughter remembers. Dad talked about Bigelow sometimes. Not often, it was too hard. The historian asks what Morrison said. She pauses, thinks back. Dad said Bigelow didn't hesitate. Not for 1 second. The order came, and he ran. No questions, no fear, just action. Did your father feel guilty? Every day. He lived. Bigelow didn't. Dad never forgot that. In 2015, a Navy recruiting video features Bigelow's story. Young sailors watch it during boot camp. The video shows the Medal of Honor, shows Fletcher under fire, shows the magazine, the narrator's voice. 1 man, 2 extinguishers, 400 lives saved. The recruits sit in silence. Some take notes, some just stare. At the end, the instructor asks, "What would you do?" Nobody answers. Nobody knows. You can't know until you're there. In the smoke, in the fire, with 90 seconds and no way out. Bigelow knew. He chose. The Pacific Ocean off Corregidor is deep, thousands of feet. Bigelow's body rests somewhere in that darkness, wrapped in canvas, buried at sea. No marker, no grave, just water and silence. But his name endures, on a medal, on a ship, on a headstone in Illinois, in the memories of 400 men who came home, in the stories passed down through generations. Heroes don't die. Not really. February 14th, 1945, 1,027 hours. A Japanese shell hits USS Fletcher. Magazine #1 ignites. Petty Officer Elmer Bigelow grabs 2 extinguishers, refuses a breathing mask, descends into the fire. 90 seconds later, the fire is out. The ship is saved. 400 men live. Bigelow dies. 26 hours later, burns and smoke inhalation. Age 24. 1 life for 400. The math is simple. The cost is unbearable. But Bigelow paid it. Without hesitation. Without regret. Greater love has no man than this.